Alrighty folks, let's get on with assignment 1. Now again, it's more convenient with a packet, but I can't really reach through the fiber optic cable to give you a packet. Now, I know that a lot of you don't have this kind of calculator. You're going to have to do two things you're going to need to do. You're going to need to do just a basic Google calculator from your phone, wherever, okay? Google calculator. And then you're also going to need to Google the word, if you want this to go as quick as possible. Go to another Google search or download the app, whatever, okay? And Google fraction calculator, because a lot of you don't have, your phones don't do the fractions, so the fraction, go to this first one, calculator soup, okay? And this, you just add fractions right here, okay? I think you can do negatives, yep, you can. I think. And then if we need mixed numbers, we'll just click on that link above there. Okay, that's what we need the stuff. Okay, first stuff is kind of babyish. It says traveling 50 kilometers west is expressed as negative 50. How is traveling 75 kilometers east expressed? Well, example 1, if west is negative, then east would be positive. So again, you'll get this document opened up while you watch the video, okay, like this. Okay, example 2. The reduction of a person's daily caloric intake by 400 calories is expressed as negative 400, express an intake increase of 350. Well, if the reduction's negative, then the increase is positive. You just put positive 350. Okay, example 3. An increase of 30 pounds per square inch of pressure is expressed as positive 30 pounds per square inch. Express a pressure decrease of 28 pounds per square inch. Okay, so increase is positive, decrease is negative. Just put negative 28. I don't really care about the labels at this point, okay. Manufacturing department's production increase of 500 parts per day is expressed as positive 500 parts. Express a production decrease of 175 parts per day. Negative 175. Okay, the next part, what you're going to do on your paper, wherever, rip out a piece of paper and draw a number line. Just go from like 12 to negative 12, 1, 2. Again, I would have had the number line if you were here, so we wouldn't have to waste time making one out, but, I do the negatives. Just go through 12, should be good enough. Okay, give the directions and the number of units counted going from the first to the second number. So example 5, we've got 0 to positive 6, okay. First off, to go from 0 to positive 6, you're moving to the right, but that's the positive. When you go this way, that's a positive, this way is negative. Okay, so I'd be moving this way. So when they say give the directions, put positive, then how many units is it from 0 to 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so 6. Positive 6 is the answer to that. And they do want the positive sign. Okay, example 6, negative 2 to 0. So from negative 2 to 0, I'm moving the positive direction, and I'm moving 2. Okay, example 7, we've got negative 4 to, typo. Negative 4 to positive 6. Negative 4, you're moving again in the positive direction, and you'd have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so positive 10. Okay, example 8. Positive 8 to negative 3. So if I go from positive 8, now I'm moving the negative direction. So I put negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You'd move negative 11 units. Okay, example 9, 10, negative 10 to negative 4. So when I go from negative 10 to negative 4, I'm moving right, so that's the positive direction. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 units, positive 6 units. Just keep going up here to save paper. Okay. Example 10, positive 10 to negative 10. So from positive 10 to negative 10, you're moving in the negative direction. And you'd have to move 10, 20 units, negative 20 units to get from positive 10 to negative 10. Okay, now they throw some fractions at it. If it's by a half, it's not too bad. It's when they give you other ones. So negative 2 to 3.5. Okay, so from negative 2 to 3.5, I'm definitely moving in the positive direction. I'm moving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 5.5. Positive 5.5. Halves are easy, okay? Example 12. Positive 1.5 to negative 2. Okay, when they give you decimals, here this is what I do. Okay. So you know to get from positive you're going from positive 1.5 somewhere in there, negative 2, you'd be moving in the negative direction. That much we know. Then what I'm going to do is just ignore any negatives, okay? I'm just going to put 2, 1.5, or 1.5, 2. These are called, what I'm doing here is listing the absolute value of the numbers. That means just drop any negatives that you have, okay? Then put your higher absolute value on top, so 2 is higher than 1.5, okay? Now, if I have to go through the 0 to get from one point to the other, I'm going to add them. If I don't have to cross the 0, I'm going to subtract these. Okay, well, to go from positive to negative, you have to cross over the 0. Okay, so you would end up adding these, so 3.5, and you just put that in front of your negative sign. Okay, example 13. So that's how to kind of handle the fractions decimals, and we'll be doing more of that on this. Positive 3 to negative 4.25. Well, I know to go from positive to negative, you're going to have to move negative. So I put negative down. Then I list the absolute value of the numbers, 3, 4. That means just drop the negative, okay? Put the higher on top, the lower on the bottom. Higher absolute value is 4.25, lower is 3. Okay, now again, I'm going to have to cross through the 0 to get from positive to negative. Okay, so I'm going to add these two. And I add them at 7.25. So negative 7.25 is the answer. Okay, positive 3.5 to positive 3 1/4 to positive 1/2. Okay, so I'm going from a 3 1/4 somewhere there, a half's right here, so I'd be moving in the negative direction. Now again, list the absolute values, 3 1/4 and 1/2. This time when I go from 3 1/4 to 1/2, I don't have to pass the 0, so I would subtract then instead of add, okay? Now here's how you can subtract fractions pretty quickly, okay? Go mixed number calculator, just do that, okay? So you go 3, let's see, 3. So here's what you do, you hit 3 space, and then you go 1, click the division key right there, 4, okay? And you want to add 1/2, so just clear that and hit 1, division 2, hit calculate, and it's 3 3/4. Wait a second, did I do that right? Whoops, I accidentally added. I needed to be minusing. Okay, that didn't make any sense. 2 3/4. Because I need to be minusing. Okay, so I'm going to flip the paper over. Example 15. So the next one, we're going from negative 0.25 to negative 4. So negative 0.25 somewhere in here. I'm going this way, so it's a negative movement. Then list the absolute values. That means drop all negatives. Okay, now you put your higher absolute value on top, lower on the bottom. Now, if I'm going from a negative to another negative, I don't need to pass the 0, so I would minus them. Okay, and that's 3.75. Okay. Next one, positive 4.75, example 16. Positive 4.75 to positive 0.5. Okay, 4.75 is between the 4 and the 5. Okay, 0.5, so you'd be moving the negative direction. Okay. Now again, drop your absolute values, or drop your negatives, I should say, 4.75, comma 0.5, and then line up the absolute values, highest on top, lowest on bottom. Okay. You do not have to pass the 0 because you're going from positive to positive, so minus them. It's when you have to cross over the 0 where you would add the absolute values. Okay. And that's going to be 4.25. Okay, so it's negative 4.25. Okay, next problem. Set of problems, I should say. Select the greater of each of the two signed numbers and indicate the number of units by which this is greater. So this is example 17. We have positive 3 and negative 2. Well, come on. Positive 3 is higher. Now, by how much is it greater? Okay. All you have to do is simply count how many spaces are in between the 3 and the negative 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's negative 3. And put 5 greater. That's how you write your answer and type it up. You'd put positive 3, comma 5 greater. Example 18, okay, you have negative 7 and positive 3. Positives are always higher than negatives. So it's from positive 3 to negative 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Don't put negative 10. On this part, you don't need to put negative or positive. You just put the number and then greater. 10 greater. With that greater than part, you don't need to put the negative or positive direction. Okay, example number 19. Negative 28, negative 73. Well, negative 28 is greater. Okay, so when I have two negatives, the less extreme is actually a greater value. Now, the number line isn't going to help me a whole heck of a lot, so I'm going to kind of do what I did the last time. I'm going to line up the absolute values. I'm going to put the higher one on top, the smaller one on the bottom. Okay. I would not have to cross through the 0 to get from one negative to another. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and just minus those two. So 73 minus 28 is going to be 45. 45 greater. Because if you're at negative to negative, you don't cross 0, so you're going to minus the absolute values. This is when you go from positive to negative, you would add them. Okay, example 20. Because you're not able to count, the number line doesn't go that high. Negative 8, and you definitely won't be able to use a number line with decimals and fractions. Okay, so you know negative 14.8 is greater. How much? Line up the apps, go 18.62, 14.08, drop negatives. Okay, I would not have to cross over 0 because it goes from one negative to another. It doesn't go from negative to positive. Okay, I would just subtract those. That's going to be 4.54. So put 4.54 greater. Okay, example number 21. Negative 2.5 to positive 2.5. Well, positive 2.5 is greater. Okay, no question about it. Now drop negatives. So I just put 2.5, 2.5. And this time I would have to cross 0. I would have to go from a negative to a positive, so I'd want to add. Okay, and that's 5. So put 5 greater. Okay, example 22. Positive 16.17 to negative 21.86. Okay, the positive's greater. That's your comma. And then I line them up 16.17, 21.86. Okay, now 1.86 is the higher absolute value. Now, to get from a positive to a negative, I would have to cross over the 0, so I would want to add those together. Okay, so use a phone, calculator, whatever, it doesn't matter. Okay, that's going to be 38.03. So it's 38.03 greater. Okay, example number 23. Positive 1 1/16, negative 1 7/8. Okay. So the positive's greater, comma. Okay, so line up your absolute values. What's the greater? If you don't know which one's greater, if you're terrible with fractions, just divide them real quick. 1 divided by 16, 0.0625. 7 divided by 8. That one's the greater one, okay, the 1 7/8. And to go from positive to negative, you'd have to cross through the 0, so we want to add those, okay. So I go to the Google calculator soup, okay. You want to be on the mixed number calculator at all times. So go 1 space 7 divided by 8, and then 1. And then 1 divided by 16, okay? And we are plussing those two, so remember to click it and go plus. Calculate it. I got 2 5/16, so it's 2 15/16 greater. So if you don't have access to a calculator that does fractions, that's the way to go. And then example 24. Okay, positive 3/16, negative 9/32. The positive, you should know which one's bigger right away. Okay, the positive is bigger than a negative. So here are my absolute values. Now to know which one's a higher, take your calculator, divide it. 0.1875. Okay, the 0.28 is bigger. So that one I line up on top, that one on bottom. And again, to go from a positive to a negative, you have to cross through the 0, so you have to be adding. Okay? So I go 9. Just put 9 divided by 32. And then the other fraction, just put 3 divided by 16. Okay? And you are adding them, so we keep it at an addition. So it's going to be 15/30 seconds. 15/30 seconds greater. Okay, and then the last set of problems. Okay. First couple are pretty easy. Okay. It says list each of the signed numbers in order of increasing value starting with the smallest value. Okay, so there's example 25. Okay, 0, negative 18, 4, negative 22. I'll write them down. Guys, you start with the smallest, the most extreme negative is your smallest, so negative 22, comma, negative 18, then negative 1, then 0, then I do positives like you did in like 5th grade, okay, 2, 4, 16. I don't need you to put the plus sign in front of it when you punch it into the Google Doc, just put the number, okay. Next one, the numbers are negative 15, positive 17, positive 3, negative 3, positive 15, 0, negative 8. The most extreme negative is your smallest, so negative 15, negative 8, negative 3, 0, then we go positive 3, 15, 17. Okay, now where they get you is when they give fractions. There's an easy way to deal with it. You have 0, negative 1.5, negative 6 and 5/32, negative 6 and 1/4, negative 1 and 15/32, and negative 1 and 7/16. Okay, now the negatives, okay, here's what I do. It's between this one or this one. Divide your 5 by 32 and just put that above negative 6.15625. Then 1 divided by 4, that's going to be negative 6.25. Now remember, the most extreme one, negative, so if I'm comparing them, 6, 6, 1, 2, that's going to be more extreme than that one. So put negative 6 and 1/4. Followed by negative 6 and 5/32. So we got those two eliminated. Now with all the ones, we know that that's negative 1.5. Okay. Now 15/32. Negative 1.46875. And then 7/16. Negative 1.4375. So if we're comparing them, that 1, 1, 1, then 5, 4, 4, so that's the next most extreme. Negative 1 and 1/2. And when you enter the fractions on a spreadsheet, just hit negative 6 space 1 divided by 4. I'll be able to see it. Okay, I'm not completely stupid. Just kinda. Okay. Then compare these 4, 4, 6, 3, so that one's the next most extreme. Negative 1 and 15/32, and then negative 1 and 7/16. You could get all common denominators, but that's kind of a waste of time. Then you have 0. You don't have any positives in that group.